I caught my wife texting someone at 3 a.m. It wasn't just the messages that broke me. It was who they were meant for. If this story moved you, don't forget to drop a comment and subscribe to Revenge Forge for more unforgettable stories that speak to the heart. I'm Jared Benson, 35, a senior financial planner at a wealth management firm in Raleigh, North Carolina. My life was a carefully crafted blueprint, secure, prosperous, built on grit. My wife Trisha, 28, was a flame-sharp radiant with a laugh that could light up a room, and a mind that never missed a beat. We met 6 years ago at a startup pitch event in Durham. I was analyzing investment risks for clients. She was running a boutique marketing agency, her charisma closing deals left and right. By midnight we were sharing beers at a dive bar, trading stories about bold moves and broken dreams. 2 years later we married in a Blue Ridge vineyard, her vows a soft promise against the mountain breeze, swearing a life of trust and fire. Our sleek townhouse in Raleigh's North Hills was our haven. Hardwood floors, a rooftop deck where we'd sip coffee and plan our next adventure, a kitchen filled with her laughter and my terrible cooking. I pulled in $175,000 a year managing portfolios for a firm raking in $80 million annually. Trisha's agency thrived, her campaigns landing clients from tech startups to local nonprofits. We were a power couple, me the strategist behind wealth, here the spark that sold it. Weekends were for hiking in the Smokies, hitting craft breweries, or just us tangled in sheets dreaming of a beach house in Wilmington. But even the best blueprints have flaws. It started quiet, like a whisper you ignore until it's a scream. 4 months ago, Trisha's phone became her fortress. She'd angle it away when texting, her fingers quick, her face a mask. Client drama, she'd say her smile too tight. I'd nod, but doubt slithered in, sharp and cold. She started vanishing late nights at her office weekend strategy meetings in Charlotte. Big campaign, she'd murmur, her perfume trailing as she slipped out. I wanted to believe her, I did. But love blinds you until the cracks show. The first fracture came at her father's annual charity gala, a glittering affair at his sprawling estate in Cary. Warren Caldwell, 61, a commercial real estate tycoon with a voice like gravel, never hid his contempt for me. Still crunching numbers, Jared, he'd boom, his laugh echoing through his elite crowd. His wife Margaret Caldwell would murmur, Warren enough, but her eyes held pity. Trisha would squeeze my arm, whispering, he's just teasing. I'd shrug for her. But at the gala I saw her with Trevor Flint, Warren's top dealmaker and my old high school buddy. Trevor, 39, all charm and tailored suits, leaned too close, his hand grazing her back. Her smile was too warm, her eyes too soft. I brushed it off as networking, but my gut twisted, a warning I couldn't ignore. The real blow landed 3 weeks later. I was wrapping up at the office, the smell of paper and coffee lingering, when Trisha texted she'd be late, client dinner. I drove home restless and noticed her laptop on the kitchen counter, left open, a rare slip. Curiosity isn't betrayal, but it felt like it when I clicked her email. A draft unsent stared back, *, Trevor last night was incredible. Can't wait for Charlotte. My heart stopped, the screen blurring. I scrolled her inbox, dozens of emails to Trevor, flirty, reckless, time-stamped, while I was home waiting. This wasn't just a Reddit story. It was my life splintering. I didn't confront her. Rage doesn't close deals, strategy does. My side venture, a small investment fund I'd built quietly, gave me tools most husbands don't have. I traced her email to a private account she'd never mentioned, linked to a bank with $45,000 in consulting fees. The account was tied to a shell company under Warren's real estate empire, with Trevor as the signatory. Trisha wasn't just cheating with my old friend. She was entangled in her father's financial web. I sat in our townhouse, the city lights dim through the rain-streaked windows, my pulse a steady drum. How do you trust a woman who's been lying to your face? I hired a private investigator, Ellie Harper, a no-nonsense pro who'd vetted deals for my fund. Track Trisha and Trevor, I said. Every move, every meeting. Ellie's eyes narrowed. You sure you want this, Jared? I wasn't, but I nodded. At home I played the devoted husband. Trisha breezed in, her smile a mask. Long day, I asked, pouring her wine. She sighed, exhausting. Her phone buzzed, and she flipped it over too fast. I watched her, the woman I'd loved for years, and felt like a stranger. Ellie's first report came 5 days later. Photos of Trisha and Trevor at a loft in Charlotte, his arm around her waist, her head tilted toward him. The loft was leased by Warren's company, not Trevor. Why was my father-in-law funding their affair? I dug into the shell company's records, finding transfers disguised as marketing fees, $160,000 over a year funneled through Trisha to obscure Warren's tax evasion. My wife wasn't just a cheater. She was her father's accomplice, and I'd been the fool bankrolling our life. The betrayal stung, but I didn't crumble. I'd read enough Reddit stories to know anger clouds judgment. I met my lawyer Owen Reed, who'd handled my fund's contracts, lock down my assets, I told him, and pull every file on Warren's firm. Owen's pen raced across his notepad. This could get ugly, Jared. I nodded. Ugly was fine. I wanted justice. The first twist hit at Warren's next event, a fundraiser dripping with excess. He pulled me aside, his breath sour with bourbon. Jared, my firm needs a quick loan. Big project, tight deadline. Your fund can help, right? His audacity was almost laughable. He didn't know my investment fund was worth millions, that I held his empire's lifeline. I'll look into it, I said, my smile cold. Inside I was fire. This wasn't just a cheating wife story, it was my chance to rewrite the rules. That night I caught Trisha and Trevor in a corner, their whispers too close, her hand brushing his chest. Ellie's latest update burned in my pocket, footage of Trisha stashing documents in the loft's safe. I wasn't just fighting for my marriage. I was fighting for my dignity, my legacy. I slipped out, the fundraiser's laughter fading, and vowed they'd regret underestimating Jared Benson. I didn't go home. I drove to my office, the Raleigh skyline a blur through the rain. Trisha's email to Trevor * last night was incredible. * replayed in my head, her hand on his chest, a snapshot of betrayal. The bank statement, $45,000 hidden, sat heavy in my briefcase. My fingers gripped the steering wheel, my plan sharpening. Warren thought he could mock me. Trisha thought she could lie to me, and Trevor thought he could steal my life. They were about to learn who I was. Morning broke heavy with fog. Trisha was gone when I returned to the townhouse, her side of the bed cold, a note on the counter *, early meeting, back late. Her handwriting was neat like her lies. I brewed coffee, the bitterness matching my mood, and called Ellie. What's new on the loft? I asked, my voice steady. Ellie didn't sugarcoat. Trisha's there daily. Trevor too. I got a glimpse of the safe folders drives. Looks like financial records. My jaw clenched. Keep digging. I hung up the coffee, cold in my hands. Trisha wasn't just cheating. She was guarding her father's secrets, and Trevor was her partner. I spent the day at the office, crunching numbers for clients, smiling for colleagues, my mind elsewhere. My investment fund's database was my weapon, and I used it. The shell company tied to Trisha's secret account had funneled $220,000 in consulting fees over 18 months, all linked to Warren's real estate deals. The transfers were sloppy, disguised as business, but reeking of tax evasion. I cross-referenced the loft lease. Warren's firm paid the rent, but Trevor signed the contract. My old buddy wasn't just sleeping with my wife. He was laundering money for her father, and Trisha was the linchpin. The second twist came that afternoon. Owen called. Warren's firm applied for a $2.5 million loan through your fund, he said, his voice low. He doesn't know it's yours. I leaned back, the office hum fading. Warren, who'd sneered at my number crunching, was begging for my money. The irony was delicious, but I wasn't ready to play my hand. Stall them, I told Owen. Demand more financials. Let him sweat. Owen chuckled. You're cold, Jared. Cold, no. I was calculated. Ellie's next report was a gut punch. Security footage from the loft showed Trisha meeting a man who wasn't Trevor, a stranger, in a dark coat, his face half hidden. He handed her a flash drive, his gestures sharp. Ellie traced him to a consulting firm with ties to Warren's offshore accounts. This guy's bad news, she texted. Linked to money laundering for real estate tycoons. My stomach churned. Trisha wasn't just cheating with Trevor. She was entangled with criminals, and Warren had dragged her in. Or had she chosen it? I couldn't confront her yet. I needed airtight proof, not just photos and hunches. So I kept playing the part. Trisha came home late, her eyes tired, her smile forced. Rough day, I asked, setting a plate of stir-fry. She nodded, picking at the food. Non-stop. Her phone buzzed, and she swiped it away too quick. I watched her, my heart a tangle of love and rage. How had we gotten here? I'd built a life for us, poured my soul into our dreams, and she'd traded it for secrets and a loft key. The third twist hit 3 days later. Ellie sent a video time-stamped 2 a.m. Trisha in the loft arguing with Trevor, her voice sharp, his hands raised. "You swore this wouldn't touch Jared," she snapped. Trevor's reply was low. "You're too deep, Trisha. Warren owns us." She shoved him, tears streaming, and stormed out. The timestamp was last night, hours after she'd kissed me goodnight. My chest tightened, not from pain but clarity. Trisha wasn't a mastermind. She was trapped, and Trevor was her leash. I rewatched the video, my mind racing. Trisha's tears were real, but so were her lies. She'd chosen Trevor, chosen her father's empire over me, but owns us. That was new. I called Ellie. "Focus on Warren's offshore accounts. Find out who's pulling his strings." She didn't hesitate. "This could get tricky, Jared." "You sure?" I was. Truth was better than ignorance. The next week was a tightrope. I moved money from our joint accounts to a secure one. Trisha couldn't touch Owen's advice. Owen dug into Warren's firm, uncovering a trail of falsified records, overvalued properties, ghost investors, millions siphoned to the Caymans. Trisha's consulting fees were the tip of the iceberg. I felt sick, not just for me, but for the life we'd lost. I'd read Reddit cheating stories, but living one was a different beast. Every night, Trisha slept beside me, her breathing soft while I lay awake plotting. The fourth twist came at a family dinner at the Caldwell's estate. Warren, oblivious to my knowledge, toasted to new ventures, his eyes glinting with greed. Trisha sat across from me, her smile brittle, Trevor at her side like a loyal dog. Margaret, her mother, chatted about charity galas, but her glances at Trisha were tense, knowing. I played along, laughing, refilling glasses, but my eyes were on Trisha's phone buzzing under the table. She excused herself, and I followed, silent as a shadow. In the hallway, she typed furiously, her face pale. I glimpsed the screen before she locked it, a message to Trevor. "He's asking questions. We need to move the files." My blood ran cold. They weren't just hiding an affair, they were covering tracks, and I was the threat. I slipped back to the table, my face a mask, but inside I was fire. Warren's loan request was my leverage, and I'd use it to unravel them all. Ellie's next update was a goldmine. The man in the dark coat was Victor Crane, a fixer for dirty money linked to a syndicate that propped up Warren's failing projects. The flash drive he'd given Trisha encrypted files detailing Warren's fraud dates, amounts, fake contracts. Trisha wasn't just laundering money. She was holding evidence that could destroy her father. Or protect him. The question was, whose side was she on? I didn't confront Trisha. I stayed silent, letting her spiral. Her texts grew desperate. "Jared, why's everything locked? Talk to me." I ignored them. I wasn't ready to show my cards, not yet. This wasn't just a betrayal, it was a war, and I was ready to win. The Raleigh skyline glowed under a heavy dusk as I sat in my office. Ellie's video of Trisha and Trevor Flint arguing in the Charlotte loft seared into my mind. My wife wasn't just cheating with my old high school buddy. She was shielding her father's fraud, caught in a net spun by Warren Caldwell and Victor Crane. The safeguards I'd built, locking away $220,000 in savings, $480,000 in investments, and our North Hills townhouse were my armor. But I wasn't secure yet. Trisha, Trevor, Warren, and Crane thought they could outplay me, and I needed to dismantle every strand of their scheme before they buried me. I called Ellie at 5 a.m., her voice sharp despite the hour. "Trisha's rattled," I said, keeping my tone steady. "She's fighting with Trevor, hiding files. Crane's in deep. I need their next move. Crane's leverage, anyone else pulling strings." "Got it, Jared," Ellie said. "Give me 36 hours. While she dug, I reached out to Nora Tate, a former forensic accountant at my firm who'd left 3 years ago after clashing with Trevor over shady client accounts. Nora, 36, was a truth hunter with a grudge against liars. We met at a food truck park near Lake Johnson, the smell of barbecue and pine grounding me. I handed her a flash drive with Ellie's initial evidence, emails between Trisha and Trevor, bank records of Trisha's secret $45,000 account, the shell company tied to Warren's empire. "They're not just having an affair," I said. "They're stealing my life. I need to know how." Nora's eyes narrowed as she scanned the files. "Trevor's a weasel," she said, her voice low. "He tanked my career when I flagged his dirty deals. But Trisha, she's in over her head." "There's more," I said. "They're using Warren's resources. I found $160,000 funneled to Trevor's account. I think they're planning something bigger." Nora sipped her sweet tea, her gaze hard. "I've got a contact in your firm's compliance team. Let me dig." By noon, Nora texted back. Trevor wasn't just Trisha's lover. He was pitching my financial planning framework, my life's work to a rival firm in Greensboro, Piedmont Wealth for $2.3 million. The meeting was set for tomorrow at a downtown hotel. But Nora's contact dropped a bombshell. Trevor had a side deal. If Piedmont passed, he was shopping the framework to a private investment group in Wilmington for $1.8 million, no questions asked. Trisha didn't know about the Wilmington deal. Trevor was double-crossing her. I dove into Trevor's digital trail using my firm's database access. His security was lazy same password from our high school days. I found emails with a name I didn't expect. Diane Larson, 43, our firm's chief financial officer. She'd always been reserved, all numbers and no warmth. But her messages to Trevor were cold and precise. Keep Benson in the dark. Piedmont's the goal, but Wilmington's our fallback. Trisha's too volatile, she'll break. Trevor's reply, don't worry, Diane. She's my pawn. Diane, the CFO, was in on it. My chest tightened. This wasn't just a divorce or an affair, it was a corporate conspiracy. I sent the emails to Nora, who cursed over the phone. Diane's been shady forever, she said. She's got her hands in every budget. This is her cash out. What's her angle? I asked, pacing my office, the city lights a steady pulse below. Money, Nora said. She's got a lawsuit eating her alive, divorce settlement gone wrong. Selling your framework clears her debts and pads her exit. I needed more. I called Ellie. Look into Diane Larson. She's working with Trevor and Trisha. Ellie let out a low whistle. This is a snake pit, Jared. I'll need time. Make it fast, I said. They're pitching tomorrow. That night, Trisha's text turned desperate. Jared, why's everything frozen? We need to talk. I didn't reply. She called 6 times, then 10. I let it go to voicemail. Back at our townhouse, she'd find the locks changed, a precaution Owen had urged. She was trapped, but I wasn't ready to face her. I worked tightening my tracking scripts. Every email, every transaction Trisha and Trevor made, I saw. By 4 a.m. I had their pitch deck, my framework repackaged with Trisha's branding and Trevor's spin. They'd even named it Flint Financial Blueprint. My work, their theft. Then Ellie called, her voice urgent. Got something on Diane. She's not just in on it, she's been skimming from the firm for years. $680,000 funneled to a shell account in Panama. Trevor's her front, but Trisha's clueless about the scope. I gripped my desk, the rains hummed steady outside. What about Trisha's best friend, Lena? She's deeper than you thought, Ellie said. She's been feeding Diane intel on your projects. Emails show Lena's getting a 2% cut of the Wilmington deal. But here's the twist, she's also been talking to a lawyer planning to leak the deal to the SEC if Trevor and Trisha don't pay her more. Lena, not just a confidant, but a double-crosser. My stomach churned, but I pushed it down. Send me everything, I said. Ellie did. And there it was, Lena's emails to a lawyer outlining a plan to expose the deal for a bigger payout. She wasn't loyal to Trisha, she was playing them all. I met Nora at her condo, a sleek space with skyline views and a humming espresso machine. Lena's planning to screw them over, I said, showing her the emails. She's working with Diane, but she's got her own exit. Nora's jaw tightened. Your wife's best friend is a viper. What's the plan? We don't shut down the system, I said. We expose them at Piedmont's meeting. All of them. The next morning I drove to Greensboro, Nora in the passenger seat. Trisha stayed in Raleigh, likely scrambling to fix her locked accounts. She thought I was at the office, buried in risk reports. The hotel, a modern tower overlooking the city, was Trisha's stage-polished high stakes. She'd arrived in Greensboro, her navy dress catching every eye, her smile ablaze. Trevor stood beside her, his suit tailored, his grin smug. Diane was there too, her presence quiet but commanding, her eyes scanning the room. The Piedmont exec's 3 suits with cold gazes sat at a conference table sipping water. I slipped in, Nora blending into the crowd of advisors. We'd hacked the guest list, posing as consultants. Trisha's pitch was flawless. Our blueprint redefines financial planning, robust, scalable hours. Trevor chimed in, all charm. With your investment, we'll dominate the Carolinas. My blueprint. They're lies. I stood, my voice cutting through the hum. Before you sign, you should know the truth. Trisha's eyes locked on mine, her face paling. Trevor's smile vanished. Diane's hand froze on her glass. Jared, Trisha said, her voice tight. This isn't the time. It's exactly the time, I said, plugging my laptop into the projector. The screen lit up emails between Trisha, Trevor, and Diane plotting to sell my framework. Bank records of Diane's $680,000 theft. Lena's texts tying her to the scheme. And a wire transfer Lena to Diane $5,000 labeled consulting fee. The room went silent. One of the Piedmont execs, a man with a silver mustache, leaned forward. "Explain this, Miss Benson," Trisha stammered, her charm crumbling. "It's a misunderstanding. Jared's upset, personal issues." "No," I said, my voice steel. "You stole my work. Diane's been skimming $680,000. Trevor's your front man, and Lena. She's planning to leak this deal to the SEC for a bigger cut." Trevor tried to interrupt. "This is absurd." "Absurd," I cut in, clicking to the next slide. Lena's lawyer emails Diane's Panama account. "You built your pitch on my blueprint. You're done." The mustached exec stood, his face hard. "We don't deal with thieves." He nodded to his team and they walked out, their water untouched. Trisha's eyes filled with tears, but I felt nothing. Trevor grabbed his jacket, muttering excuses. Diane slipped out, her composure cracking. I didn't stay to gloat. I walked out, Nora behind me, the Greensboro heat heavy on my skin. But there was one more twist. As I reached my car, Lena was waiting, her face pale, her hands trembling. "Jared, we need to talk." "You're out of place," I said, my voice cold. "It's not what you think," she said, her voice breaking. "Diane forced me. She's got dirt on me, bad investments, a failed boutique. I didn't want to hurt you." I stared at her, the friend who'd toasted our wedding, the woman who'd sold me out. "You chose this," I said. "Own it." She reached for me, but I stepped back. "Jared, please." "Stay away," I said, getting into my car. As I drove off, my phone buzzed. "Ellie, Diane's making a move. She's meeting the Wilmington buyer tomorrow. Trisha's out, but Lena's going with her." The game wasn't over. They weren't done. Neither was I. Back in Raleigh, I found a note slipped under my office door, unsigned, scrawled in ink. "Check her cloud backups. She's hiding more." My pulse spiked. I logged into Trisha's cloud again using her predictable password. In a hidden folder labeled Clients, I found a spreadsheet. Another secret account, not the $45,000 one, but a new one with $70,000, funded by consulting fees from Trevor's second shell company. My stomach churned. Trisha wasn't just planning a divorce, she was stashing a fortune, betting on a massive payout. I called Owen. "Trisha's got another account," I said, forwarding the spreadsheet. $70,000 tied to Trevor. "What can we do?" Owen's voice was grim. "Freeze it. I'll file an injunction to lock her assets. We'll hit them where it hurts." I nodded, my resolve hardening. This wasn't just about love anymore, it was about justice. The next day I met Nora at a taproom in downtown Raleigh, the smell of hops grounding me. "Trisha's been hiding more money," I said, showing her the spreadsheet. "Trevor's her funnel, but Diane's the architect." Nora's eyes widened. "This is bigger than we thought," she said. "Diane's been using Trisha to launder firm funds. Your blueprint was the bait to draw in buyers." I leaned back, the taproom's hum fading. "What's Trisha's endgame?" I asked. "She thinks she's escaping," Nora said. "Trevor's promised her a cut, probably a lie. Diane's using them both to cover her tracks." I didn't trust Trisha's tears, but I needed her next move. I called Ellie. "Track Trisha's travel," I said. "She's not in Raleigh. Find her." Ellie was on it, but she had another bombshell. "Trevor's been meeting with a lawyer too," she said. "He's planning to cut Trisha out of the Wilmington deal. He's got a new partner, someone outside the firm." "Who?" I asked, my voice tight. "Not sure yet," Ellie said. "But they're moving fast." I spent the afternoon fortifying my position. Owen filed the injunction locking Trisha's $70,000 account. I changed every password again, even for my personal investments. I wasn't just protecting my money, I was protecting my future. That night I got a call from Trisha's brother, Ethan Caldwell, a laid-back carpenter who'd always liked me. "What's going on, Jared?" he said, his voice tense. "Trisha's freaking out. You froze her accounts, her cards. What's the deal?" "She's been stealing from me," I said, my tone cold. $70,000, Ethan. She's been lying to you too." He went quiet, then sighed. "I didn't know," he said. "She said it was just work stress. I'll talk to her." I didn't trust him fully, but his shock sounded genuine. Maybe Trisha had played her family too. The next twist hit like a lightning bolt. Ellie texted me a photo, Trisha in Wilmington, checking into a hotel with a man I didn't recognize. Not Trevor. Older, slick, with a gold watch gleaming on his wrist. "Who's this?" I texted back. Ellie's reply was swift. "Nathan Holt. Investment banker, big player in Wilmington. He's the new partner in Trevor's side deal." My blood ran cold. Trisha wasn't just a pawn, she was playing her own game, hedging her bets with a new player. I called Nora. Trisha's with Nathan Holt, I said. He's Trevor's new partner. She's double-crossing him. Nora whistled. She's dancing with wolves, she said. Holt's got a reputation, ruthless, connected. If Trevor finds out, she's toast. I didn't care about Trisha's safety, but I needed Holt's role. I spent the night digging, using my firm's database to cross-reference Holt's transactions. He'd been funneling money to Diane's Shell account, $140,000 over 5 months. The web was bigger than I thought. Diane wasn't just skimming, she was laundering with Holt as her silent partner. The next morning I got a call from Lena, her voice panicked. Jared, Trisha's in trouble. She called me last night crying. Said she's in too deep with some guy, Nathan, I think. She's scared. I stayed silent, letting her ramble. She didn't say much, just that she needs cash. I told her to come home, but she hung up. I didn't feel pity, just clarity. Thanks, Lena, I said, hanging up. Trisha's fear was her own making. I met Owen at his office, laying out the new evidence: Holt's payments, Trisha's hotel check-in, Lena's call. We've got enough for a fraud suit, he said. Against Diane, Trevor, maybe Holt. But Trisha, she's slippery. We need her to slip up. I nodded, my plan forming. Then we bait her, I said. Let her think I'm backing off. She'll trip. That afternoon I texted Trisha. We need to talk. No games. Come home. She didn't reply, but Ellie tracked her phone to a Wilmington airport, boarding a flight to Raleigh. She was coming back, thinking Holt was her way out. I wasn't chasing her, not yet. I needed her to feel safe to make her next mistake. The final twist of the day came from an anonymous email with a single attachment, a voice recording. I played it, my pulse spiking. It was Trisha talking to Holt in a hotel room. Trevor's out, she said, her voice low. He's too greedy. You and I can take the Wilmington deal, split it 50-50. Holt's voice was smooth, cold. And your husband, he's sniffing around. Trisha laughed, a sound that cut like glass. Jared, he's all plans, no spine. He'll fold. The recording cut off, leaving me in silence. I saved the file, my hand steady. Trisha thought I'd fold. She was wrong. This wasn't just a betrayal, it was a war, and I was armed to win. The Raleigh skyline burned under a stormy dusk. As I sat in my office, the anonymous recording of Trisha and Nathan Holt ringing in my ears. My wife wasn't just betraying me with Trevor Flint. She was double-crossing him with Holt, scheming to steal my financial planning framework and leave me shattered. Diane Larson, Lena, Trevor, Trisha, Holt. They'd spun a web of greed to strip me of my work, my trust, my life. But I wasn't caught. I was Jared Benson, and I'd forged their lies into a reckoning that settled every score. Ellie's text about Diane's meeting with the Wilmington buyer with Lena in tow was a spark in the dark. They thought they could vanish, but I was closing the trap. I called Ellie at 6 a.m., her voice crisp despite the hour. Diane's meeting the Wilmington buyer tonight, I said. Some outfit called Coastal Ventures. Lena's with her. I need the where, the when, and their pitch. On it, Ellie said. Coastal buys hot IP, no questions asked. I'll have something by noon. While she worked, I met Nora at a diner off Glenwood Avenue, the smell of bacon and coffee grounding me. I showed her Ellie's latest file, Diane's Panama account. Lena's double-cross plan, the Wilmington deal. They've cut Trisha out, I said. Diane's running the show now. Nora's eyes narrowed, her fork pausing mid-bite. Trisha's out. That's cold. What's the move? We don't freeze the system, I said, my voice steel. We expose them to Coastal. If they lose this, they're done. Nora grinned fierce. You're a damn fortress, Jared. I'm in. Ellie delivered by 10 a.m., texting a location, a private waterfront club in Wilmington's downtown, 8 p.m. Diane and Lena were pitching my framework as their own, promising Coastal a clean product for $1.8 million. But Ellie had more. Diane's desperate, she said over the phone. She's been dodging a tax audit. That $680,000 she skimmed half, went to settle her divorce, the rest to Coastal as a deposit. If this deal tanks, she's broke. And Lena, I asked, my jaw tight. She's sinking, Ellie said. Diane's got her by the throat, threatened to leak her bad investments if she doesn't play along. But she's still scheming. She's got a burner phone texting a whistleblower about the deal. Lena always plotting her escape. I didn't feel pity, just resolve. I called Ethan Walsh, a former risk analyst at our firm, pushed out by Diane for flagging budget discrepancies. Ethan, 37, was a data hawk with a grudge to match. We met at his apartment, a cluttered space with monitors and craft beer cans. I showed him the evidence, Diane's accounts, Lena's texts, the Wilmington pitch. "I need you to help me end this," I said. Ethan's eyes glinted. "Diane ruined my career, I'm all in." We moved fast. Ethan hacked into Diane's cloud drive, pulling the final pitch deck, my framework rebranded with Lena's name plastered on it. Nora secured us access to the club, leveraging a contact from her freelance days. By 6 p.m., we were on a flight to Wilmington, the Carolina coast glowing below. I wore a suit, my laptop tucked under my arm. Nora and Ethan flanked me. Our faces set the coastal air sharp as we landed. The Wilmington Waterfront Club was all teak and moonlight, a playground for the elite. Diane was there, her blazer sharp, her smile calculated. Lena stood beside her, her eyes darting, her posture tense. The coastal execs, 2 men in sleek suits, their gazes predatory, sat at a corner table sipping bourbon. Trisha was gone, erased like a bad contract. Diane's pitch was smooth, her voice steady. "Our blueprint is unmatched, secure, scalable, ready for market." Lena nodded, playing the loyal partner, her grin forced. They showcased my framework, my late nights, my work dressed up as their triumph. I stood, my voice slicing through the buzz. "Before you buy, gentlemen, you should know the truth." Diane's eyes snapped to mine, her face paling. Lena froze, her glass trembling. The coastal execs raised their eyebrows, intrigued. "Jared," Diane said, her voice tight but controlled. "This is a private meeting." "Not anymore," I said, plugging my laptop into the projector. The screen lit up, emails between Diane and Lena plotting to sell my framework. Bank records of Diane's $680,000 theft. Lena's burner phone texts planning her whistleblower leak. And my project logs time-stamped proving every plan was mine. The room went silent, the air thick. One of the coastal execs, a man with a salt-and-pepper beard, leaned forward. "This true, Miss Larson?" Diane stammered, her poise cracking. "It's a misunderstanding. Jared's disgruntled. Personal issues." "No," I said, my voice steel. "You stole my work, skimmed $680,000 from our firm. Lena's playing you, planning to leak this deal to the SEC for a bigger cut." Lena's face went white. "Jared, you're wrong." "Am I?" I cut in, clicking to the next slide, her whistleblower text clear as day. The coastal execs exchanged glances, their faces hardening. Diane tried to salvage it, her voice rising. "This is a setup. Jared's sabotaging us." "Sabotaging?" I snapped, my tone cold. "You built your pitch on my blueprint. Done." The bearded exec stood, his voice low. "We don't deal with liars." He nodded to his partner and they walked out, their bourbon untouched. Diane's shoulders slumped, her empire crumbling. Lena grabbed her purse, muttering, "You'll regret this, Jared." But her voice was weak, defeated. I didn't linger. I walked out, Nora and Ethan behind me, the Wilmington night humid and biting. Back in Raleigh, I found Trisha's office cleared out, her desk bare. A note on the counter. "I'm sorry, Jared. I lost myself." I tore it up, the pieces scattering like ash. But there was one more twist. The next morning, Ellie called. "Diane's running," she said. "She's liquidating firm assets, trying to disappear. But Lena, she's flipped. She's talking to the board, offering to testify against Diane for immunity." I leaned back, the Raleigh skyline steady outside. Lena, always the survivor, throwing Diane under the bus to save herself. I didn't call her. I didn't need her version of the truth. Instead, I met Nora and Ethan at the diner, the smell of coffee grounding me. "Diane's done," I said, showing them Ellie's latest file. "She's selling off firm assets to cover her tracks." Nora grinned fierce. "Then we finish her, for good. We didn't freeze the system. We went public." Ethan leaked our evidence to the board, the press even dropping snippets online where finance pros tore into Diane's scheme. The story exploded, trending as a cautionary tale of corporate greed undone. Diane was fired by noon, her reputation in tatters. Lena vanished, likely hiding from her debts. Trevor surfaced in Charlotte, working a low-level consulting gig, his charm no match for his ruined name. But Trisha was still out there with Nathan Holt. Ellie tracked her to Wilmington, holed up in a condo owned by Holt's investment firm. I didn't chase her, not yet. I needed Holt's endgame. I called Owen, my lawyer. "Holt's the key," I said. "He's been funding Diane, playing Trisha and Trevor. We need to take him down." Owen was already drafting a fraud suit, his voice steady. "We've got enough," he said. "Emails, bank records, the recording. We'll hit them all." The next twist came from an unexpected source. I got a call from Trisha's brother, Ethan Caldwell. His voice was gruff, apologetic. Jared, I didn't know how deep this went, he said. Trisha called me last night scared. Said some guy Holt is pressuring her to sign over your framework. She wants out, but she's trapped. I stayed silent, processing. What's she asking for? I said finally. Ethan sighed. Help. She knows she screwed up. She's ready to talk to fix this. I didn't trust Trisha, not after her lies, but I saw an opportunity. Tell her to meet me, I said. Tomorrow, Raleigh. Neutral ground. Ethan agreed, his relief palpable. I hung up my plan forming. If Trisha was willing to talk, I could use her to bury Holt and Trevor for good. The meeting was set for a coffee shop in Raleigh's 5 Points, a place we'd loved in better days. I arrived early, my laptop ready, Ellie's latest file on Holt burning a hole in my pocket. Trisha walked in at 10 a.m., her face pale, her eyes tired. She looked smaller, stripped of her usual spark. She sat across from me, her hands trembling around a latte. Jared, she said, her voice soft. I'm sorry. I don't expect forgiveness, but I need your help. Help, I said, my tone cold. You stole $70,000, Trisha. You sold my work, lied to my face, and ran to Holt. Why should I trust you? Her eyes welled, but she didn't look away. Because I'm done running, she said. Holt's dangerous. He's got me on a leash, threatened to ruin me if I don't deliver your blueprint. I didn't know it would go this far. She slid a flash drive across the table. Everything I have on him. Emails, contracts, bank transfers, it's yours. I didn't touch the drive, not yet. Why now, I asked. She swallowed, her voice breaking. Because I saw you in Greensboro at the Piedmont meeting. You didn't just fight, you won. I realized I picked the wrong side. Her words landed, but they didn't soften me. I saw the woman I'd loved, but I also saw the liar who'd called me spineless. I'll take it, I said, pocketing the drive. But this doesn't fix us. You're on your own. She nodded, tears spilling. I know, she whispered. Just be careful. Holt's not like Trevor. He doesn't lose. I stood, leaving her there, the coffee shop's hum swallowing her sobs. Back at my office, I plugged in the drive. Trisha wasn't lying, Holt's fingerprints were everywhere. Emails tying him to Diane's laundering scheme, contracts for the Wilmington deal, even a memo outlining plans to discredit me if I fought back. It was enough to bury him. I forwarded everything to Owen, who whistled over the phone. This is dynamite, he said. We'll file tomorrow. Holt's done, but the game wasn't over. Ellie called, her voice tense. Holt's moving, she said. He's meeting Trevor tonight, trying to salvage the Wilmington deal. Trisha's out there cutting her loose. I leaned back, the skyline fading into dusk. Holt and Trevor teaming up to save their skins. I saw my chance. Where, I asked. Ellie gave me the location, a private bar in Wilmington, 9 p.m. I didn't go to Wilmington. Instead, I sent Ethan Walsh armed with a recording device and instructions to blend in. He'd worked corporate security gigs. He knew how to stay invisible. By midnight, he sent me the audio. Holt and Trevor plotting to relaunch the deal through a new shell company. Benson's a problem, Holt said, his voice smooth. We leak rumors about his framework, fake losses. The market will eat him alive. Trevor laughed, nervous. What about Trisha? Holt's voice turned cold. She's a liability. Cut her loose. The recording was gold. I sent it to Owen, who added it to the fraud suit. The next morning, we filed against Holt, Diane, and Trevor, citing theft, fraud, and conspiracy. The evidence, Trisha's drive, Walsh's recording, Ellie's files, was overwhelming. By afternoon, the story broke. Financial firm rocked by fraud scandal with Holt, and Diane's name splashed across headlines. Trevor wasn't mentioned, but his career was ash. Social media lit up finance pros, calling it a masterclass in betrayal. I stayed out of it, letting the truth do the work. Trisha's role stayed quiet per my request. I didn't want her dragged through the mud, not out of mercy, but strategy. She'd given me Holt's head on a platter. That was enough. Ellie tracked her to a small apartment in Durham, living under her maiden name, working a low-level marketing gig. Her fire was gone, her dreams of wealth with Holt or Trevor shattered. I didn't contact her. I didn't need to. The firm survived. Nora and I rebuilt, bringing Walsh on as our new compliance lead. We launched a new financial framework, my work at its core, no backdoors needed. My salary stayed at $175,000, but the firm's revenue climbed to $90 million, my legacy secure. But the final twist came months later. I was at a brewery in Raleigh meeting a client when Trisha walked in. She froze, seeing me, her face gaunt, her eyes tired. She was alone, her dress plain, her posture defeated. For a second I saw the woman I'd married, the one who danced with me under mountain stars. Then I saw Trevor's emails, Diane's accounts, Holt's voice calling her a liability. The moment passed. She approached, her voice soft. "Jared, can we talk?" I didn't move. "You've said enough," I said, my tone cold. "I know about Durham, the apartment, the lies you spun." Her eyes widened, but she didn't deny it. "I'm sorry," she said, tears welling. "I got lost, Jared. Trevor, Holt, they made me feel powerful. But I know I hurt you. Can we try again for us?" I looked at her, the woman I'd loved, and felt nothing. "There is no us," I said. "You chose them. You chose greed. Go back to Durham, Trisha. Start over. But not with me." I walked out, leaving her standing there, the brewery's hum swallowing her pleas. The divorce was swift. Owen filed citing Trisha's infidelity and financial misconduct. The evidence was airtight. Trisha didn't fight hard. I kept the townhouse, my accounts, my life. Trisha got nothing but her freedom. Holt and Diane faced federal probes, their empires crumbling. Trevor faded into obscurity, a cautionary tale in finance circles. I rebuilt stronger. I bought that beach house in Wilmington not for Trisha, but for me. I started mentoring young planners at the firm, passing on what I'd learned. I even took up sailing, cutting through the Cape Fear River, the wind steady at my back. The scars remained, but they didn't define me. Months later, I stood on my rooftop deck, the Raleigh skyline shimmering under a rare, clear sky. My phone buzzed, a client praising our new framework. I smiled, not for the money, but for the man I'd become. Trisha's betrayal. Lena's scheming, Diane's greed, Holt's ruthlessness. They'd tried to break me, but I'd forged something greater. So what would you have done? Exposed them like I did, or walked away, letting their lies fester? Sometimes I wonder if I should have let Trisha go sooner, spared my heart the wounds. Or did I build something stronger by standing my ground? What do you think? You're here because this story meant something. Don't scroll away without leaving a like, a thought, and your subscription. Revenge Forge is where real stories find their voice in yours.